Matt Eberflus flyered. We can call it whatever we want, I guess. Yesterday, 8 o'clock, while Daryl Moose Johnson was on with us here on 105.3 The Fan, and the Tolos went crazy in celebration. RJ Choppy says they have 8 days to get the replacement. We'll get to that in a second. But Choppy also asked yesterday in the Red Zone, your daily football segment at 9:20 from here on out, here on Shan and RJ, how desirable is this job? Why would you want it? And where would this rank across the rest of the league? Where did we kind of end up after going through the openings?
Let's see. There were some openings that were potential, like Buffalo is a potential opening because they might fire their coach. They would blow out the whole staff. Pittsburgh, another one.
And now you have Baltimore and Washington added to the list.
Yep, added to the list. Detroit, we said maybe not right now, maybe in a couple of years see how their contracts shake out, but maybe 1 or 2 jobs it was more appealing to.
Out of the ones we listed, but I think it's probably like a middle-of-the-road job. Like, I think it's probably like middle of the NFL gig.
Yeah, and the only reasons that we said that the Cowboys could be as good or better than some of the others were the other rosters were older, and we had to throw in living in DFW in order to fix the argument in our favor.
Well, and what you want. Like Brian Flores, this would be a top 5 job to Brian Flores. Because to Brian Flores, it's like as a stepping stone and what it can do to get me where I want to go, like how you view it. So if he wants to become a head coach again and like just, hey, I need to spring somewhere.
Why would Brian Flores want a dumb young defense?
So
you're just talking about what happens if you succeed in it.
Yeah, like the idea being like, oh yeah, well if I can make
it's not
that
like
better.
This personnel matches Flores saying that's a top 5.
Yeah. It's not like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I've always wanted, that group of players.
Yeah,
it's more just what the opportunity presents.
All right, well, Bobby actually made some phone calls on this topic yesterday.
I did. So I reached out to a few different people around the NFL outside of Dallas trying to get, let's get unbiased opinion about the gig. And I asked a few different people who work in the NFL about, hey, is this a desirable defensive coordinator job? And I heard back from 3 people. I don't have gang of 7. I got gang of 3, the 3 amigos. First reply back said, yes, it's the biggest stage in sports. You have exciting pieces on the defensive line. Overshown and Bland are good players, and it's a team that's going to give you their best available resources this offseason to spend building the rest of it the way you want, which, okay, makes sense. Like, all right, molded clay. Next one was not as happy. That's a lot of drama and extracurricular S to worry about just to take over bad personnel. Got to have a sizable ego to think you're going to fix it before you're the next one they're going to throw under the bus. So it's not like somebody who probably thought Eberflus got thrown under the bus a little bit. And then last one said, absolutely it is. They managed to win 7 games with one of the worst defenses I've ever seen because their offense is that good. Coaches would look at that and think all they have to do is make it an average unit to get the team to 12 or 13 wins and get a shot at a head coaching gig.
Which RJ has a study on that a little bit later on. Todd Archer has his list, ESPN.
He does, and Todd has a list of, how many does he have here? 6 names, I believe it is. So Todd seems to be going down the track that he thinks they are going to run it back 6 times in a row and get a former head coach. That seems to be Todd's belief. So he started first looking at the top of his list at those guys. The first one he had was Brian Flores. He said the contract for the Vikings DC will expire this offseason. He could be a head coaching candidate again. Talks about the things that he did with the Dolphins. He said after the game, Schottenheimer could not praise Flores enough. True was same about Jerry Jones. Next one he listed was Raheem Morris, mentioning that he was fired head coach of the Falcons. I think Morris already getting head coaching interviews makes him less likely, because he's going to sit around and wait, and Schottenheimer, I think, has a schedule of, like, I need to have an answer by now, and I don't think Raheem Morris is going to be ready to give him an answer by then. And then the other one he lists is the guy we were just talking about yesterday, Jonathan Gannon. Other than that, if you were to look at guys who don't have head coaching experience, Archer lists 3 other ones. He says Adden Dirty, Seattle defensive coordinator, which you do not need permission, apparently, to interview Adden Dirty. Like, the Seahawks can't block it because he doesn't have play calling duties. If the Cowboys were telling him that he was going to be calling plays, it's no longer just a lateral move defensive coordinator to defensive coordinator, because he'd be getting new responsibilities.
Browns have requested permission to interview with him.
Denver assistant head coach, passing game coordinator Jim Leonard. And he mentions he has been high on the Cowboys list before. The Cowboys have had a love for him for a couple of years now. And then the final name he listed, one that we kicked around yesterday, Atlanta defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich. The Falcons improved in yards and points per game under Ulbrich. He was the Jets DC from 2021 to 2024, helping coach defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, and he's obviously got the relationship with Aaron White-Cotton if you keep him.
Why is the countdown at 8?
Well, if you go back and you start from this is day one. Today is day one. And the way the schedule shakes out, I guess maybe yesterday could have been day one. With the Ravens.
You kidding me? You want the Joneses to fire him and interview him the same day and line up and get on the phone, schedule?
Yeah, I know, right?
We have breaking news, too.
I know. I got it.
Oh, no.
We'll wait on it.
I'm going to go vomit again.
Okay.
No, you should be happy.
Now, the good news is the Ravens are looking for an entire new staff. So they're not going to hire their DC anytime soon. You've got more time there. But the downside is that
they could just keep their DC too.
They could. You never know. They've got to hire a coach. They got to vet a staff. That's going to take time. But the rest of the league, you got about 8 days until probably about next Wednesday or Thursday, because what's going to happen is you have all these teams. How many teams on Monday of next week, or maybe Tuesday with Pittsburgh, are going to fire their coach? If Buffalo loses 24-10, McDermott's probably gone. If the Steelers get worked, Mike Tomlin might just say, hey, I'm done. We don't know what's going to happen.
Tomlin, there's buzz around the league. Tomlin could get fired if they lose.
He may just walk away, too.
I know, but he could want to come back, and there's a scenario apparently where he could get fired.
So, and I know this team doesn't operate fast in any stretch, like you said. There's no chance they fired somebody yesterday and then started making phone calls. Okay, they fired somebody and took a nap. Okay, whew, that was so much work. We just got done with the season. The day after, I need a rest here, man. So I figure you've got probably until Wednesday of next week. Wednesday of next week where you're clear. You have the whole. No one's going to hire DCs probably till Wednesday of next week. Maybe one team does. Either way, you got a bunch of lists there. There's college guys that may be talking to not this team, but other teams may be throwing out.
They hired some college guys last year.
No, but the Cowboys, like you said, they want a former head coach.
Generally,
now, Matt Patricia?
They've dipped into that before. They could. Matt Patricia just had a goodbye post up saying goodbye, Ohio State. Yeah. It was such a great run here,
and he would fit the bill, right? Former head coach, he would fit the mold.
Yeah, I don't know how much culture he'd bring.
Not a lot. I think you got at least a clear 6 days. Most likely to be a clear 8 days that you have to yourself.
That's why they did it.
All to yourself.
That's why they did it when they did. They recognize there is a bloodbath going on in the NFL right now with coaching, and it's like, if we wait, there's going to be like 7 teams that get to hire defensive staffs before we start interviewing, and we can't have that.
The Jerry Jones official statement on Eberflus yesterday. Having known Matt Eberflus for decades now, we have tremendous respect and appreciation for him as a coach and a person. After reviewing and discussing the results of our defensive performance this season, it was clear that change is needed. This is the first step in that process, and we will continue that review as it applies to reaching our much higher expectations. We got Quinnen Williams versus Dante Fowler. Not that they're fighting like Micah versus Tank, but two diametrically opposed views. Quinnen Williams was basically saying, it's on us, blame the players. Cover 2's been cover 2, cover 3's been cover 3, man-to-man has been man-to-man. Well, Nick Harris got a quote from Dante Fowler, who admitted to this year sucking for him. This is what Dante said, quote, "We got the guys." Don't know about that. Well, I do know about that. You don't. We just need to put them in the best position to make plays. I don't care how good you think your scheme is. You just got to evolve around your players. Take your players' opinions on some things and try to put your players in the best position to make plays. And I listened to John Machota yesterday. John had a nice rant on G-Bag. And then Clarence Hill was also saying, in the locker room, nobody was supporting what Matt Eberflus was doing throughout the year. So this is Dante Fowler waiting till the season ended to trash Matt Eberflus's approach, and Quinnen Williams is kind of going the opposite.
Look, I don't care how good the talent is. If they don't buy into what they're doing, they're gonna half-ass it, and not intentionally half-ass it. It's just like, if you have to buy into what the message is, period. I don't care how good of talent you are. The problem is, he's wrong. They don't have the guys. Like, the best position for half the secondary to succeed is on the bench. That's the best position for them to succeed. Not on the field trying to make tackles.
They have the guys to execute cover 3. Like that's the thing that was so wild about this year is that like you've got the guys to just do basic concepts, and it was apparently such a confusing like system or whatever he did that it caused issues. Patrick Walker from DallasCowboys.com also tweeted yesterday. He said Eberflus undermined his own messaging to the locker room by playing favorites despite those favorites performing poorly. Kyer Elam, Kenneth Murray, he didn't list those, but those are some that popped to mind. Several players were more than ready to move on after DC, if only for that reason, but not only for that reason. Players want a fair shot. And then Nicole Hutchinson, also from DallasCowboys.com, quoted it and said, can confirm this. So there were apparently a few players who were just like, why is Kenneth Murray out there? Or why is this guy out there? Why can't I know the Logan Wilson Kenneth Murray thing was confusing to players as well. Like we're like, why is he doing this?
877-881-1053 is the Franklin injury attorney text line to hit us up with those Cowboy opinions. 877-881-1053. Mark Schlereth was on G-Bag, as he is weekly. Of course, he goes around the league and broadcasts games on Fox. He threw out a little bit of a different name and a familiar one for the replacement.
Yeah, I love Rawlis in Arizona, and he was Jonathan Gannon's right-hand man. I love Jonathan Gannon. I think both of those guys are great coaches, so that would be a direction that I certainly would go in. And I think that there's a lot of guys that are waiting to get that head coaching job, so we'll see exactly kind of how those things pan out. But there are some good coaches out there, and I love kind of having a dude that has been a head coach that has been in that situation before, although that didn't work out with Eberflus. But like I said, I love the Rawlis kid. I love he's a young guy too. He's in his 30s, and then I love Jonathan Gannon. I think he's a really good coordinator. And ultimately he got caught up in an organization that went through. I think they used all 90 of their moves from a roster standpoint because of all the injuries they've had. So kind of impossible to win when you're fielding two whole complete teams and you're playing nothing but backups.
Your face looks like that food poisoning is hitting you again.
Yeah, we can't hire this guy. He looks way too much like Travis Kelce to me, and I think that would just annoy me, like seeing his dumb face on the sideline. I'm sure he's a good coach. I know Nick Rawlis did have a lot of positive endorsements across the league. He just called the defense recently. He's 31 years old. That does not seem like a guy the Cowboys typically go